Marc dos Santos, LAFC head coach. Has it sunk in? How does that sound like to you?
It wasn't in the plans for me in the beginning. When I came back 4 years ago, my focus was to help the club achieve their goals. I think with time in the last few months, I saw, oh, maybe this could be a possibility. And I think today was the day that I realized, oh, this is happening. Not when it was announced for first. I think today is the day that I'm not realizing it.
5 seasons for two different coaches here with LAFC. How has that prepared you for this day moving forward?
Two different styles of leadership, two different styles of play in some moments of the game. If you don't win a trophy, you at least compete to win it. And that's what the 5 years have shown me. Steve had very clear ideas in one side of the game, Bob very clear ideas on the other side. I was privileged of being next to both, standing a little bit back and getting the most I could out of that.
John Thornton said that you understand what the best version of LAFC is. What is that best version?
The best version is when we play at the rhythm of the stadium. Version of intensity, wanting the ball right away, going to goal as soon as we can. If it's not on, having the ability to have the ball and to make those extra passes that allow you to find openings. I think that's what LAFC is about. But if I have to use one word, would be intensity.
That heartbeat which you get at home. Do you feel you could get that to when LAFC is on the road, where they can feel that even though it may be many miles away?
We're aware of that as a group. And being the 4 years as an assistant coach, we spoke a lot about, man, we have to be better on the road. We have to be better on the road. And there's a correlation. There's an attachment of when you're here with the rhythm of the fans, the beat they give you, and they play with you, because it's not only being a 12th man. Here they play with you. And now you have to have the mental toughness to get out of the stadium, go in a trip, and keep that level outside of BMO Stadium.
Marc, let's go back to when you began your LAFC career, 2018. How did that opportunity come about?
It was after winning the NASL championship with San Francisco. The league folded, NASL, and I actually thought about taking a sabbatical year. I thought about, okay, we won the championship. I could take a year off, maybe go to Europe, study with other coaches, wait for another opportunity. I think the 23rd or 24th of December, and it's very Bob Bradley to call you. Yeah.
On Christmas Eve.
Yeah. And I spoke with Bob, and Bob had heard from me from people in San Francisco and other clubs, and we just spoke about soccer. And then he asked me about the opportunity, what I thought about the opportunity of joining his staff, and I felt it's a good timing, just what happened with the NSL, with San Francisco. It's a good timing for me now to move on.
And they had belief in what you could do. They were aware of the work that you had done prior, that felt like you were a big fit for this huge new club.
Bob is clear, right? Bob was really clear. Bob was, look, I want you to do this. This is how I see you in the staff. So I wasn't coming to a place where I didn't know the club or my role. But then when I came back 4 years ago in the winter or January of 2022, I had a very clear conversation with Steve also. Steve was really clear with me. This is the role I have for you here. This is exactly what I want from you. And I felt, again, I was coming back in a position that not only now I knew the club, but it was really clear my role in the team.
Every manager has a certain style that they would abide to. How would you describe your style on how you'd like to see the team play?
Our willingness to prepare has to be higher there than our willingness to win. And I want to make sure that the day-to-day on the field, in the facility, in training, is the day that we bring that intensity, that commitment to training that we want to see in the game. So that's kind of the philosophy that I want to bring from day one.
The expectations, as you know, as good as anybody, are sky high here from the beginning.
Yeah.
They've maintained that. What does it say about this team that they constantly want to push to these next levels?
It's so hard in a salary cap league to be successful, then have changes in your roster because of the cap. But LAFC competes to win all the time. And they're always in the talk to arrive at a final or a semifinal. And if you accept that job, you accept the pressure with it. It's a big privilege at the same time. And our job is to keep the club being competitive to win trophies all the time.
Win trophies, make finals. You have been part of a lot of these great moments. Is there one or a moment that sticks out about what you were able to achieve here with LAFC?
The moment that was special right there, Gareth Bale's goal. That moment is a lot in my head, but I have to say that one of the most special moments for me was the game against America. Having the opportunity out of nowhere almost, we get this is happening with FIFA. This owner cannot have two clubs in the tournament, and now out of nothing there's a final, us against America. The environment, the stadium, and helping qualifying the club for the first ever FIFA Club World Cup for me was a very special moment. I had the same emotional feeling as winning MLS Cup.
Getting some goosebumps. It was actually right there. I mean, you can almost touch where Gareth Bale was celebrating.
Yeah, right there. I would have loved not to be on the bench, but sitting here in that moment. But we were suffering a lot in the bench.
Still a lot of work to be done. And it's just to show as a supporter what a great moments they have been here. Is it possible to describe LAFC as a club if you had to talk to somebody and they asked you, what is LAFC all about? How would you describe it? What would you tell them?
There's similarities to other clubs that I saw in the world when it comes to kind of the vibe, the intensity. Like I tell some of my friends in Portugal that don't know the environment here, I say it's like a mini Bombonera, or what you feel if you're in a Corinthians or Palmeiras stadium. I feel these vibes here that you don't see in other stadiums in MLS, and you've traveled and been around. Here it's different. It's really different. So you see it like in these clubs that I mentioned.
Yep.
And I connect with that. I think because of simplicity, people are direct, people know what they want, always driven to winning. If we get punched, we get up and go again. And that kind of culture is what I am about also as a person. So I'm just excited to be part of it.
From the beginning, we've heard many people, including John, talk about the black and gold standard, and that is an expectation. How would you describe that, about what is expected when you're on the sideline of LAFC, when you put on the jersey for LAFC?
The intensity you put in everything you do. I don't think LAFC, part of the standard is to give everything you have in every moment. I remember in day one in 2018, we spoke a lot about show up. Will you win? It's not a guarantee thing, but showing up to give your best, you control that. And that's a big part of the standard here in players and staff, and showing up in the facility every day with that attitude. And that's something that we have to continue.
Why is this job here in Los Angeles, here at BMO Stadium, why is this job the perfect one for you, Marc dos Santos?
It's the timing. Jobs are about timing, and the right job is in the right timing. I believe that a lot. You go through things in life and you prepare yourself in a way that you arrive in that day, that the stars get aligned, the right moment for you. And for me, it's the right job at this time because of the 5 years I've been here as an assistant coach, the people I connected with, including players. And I just felt that with Steve announcing that he was leaving and the job opening, that this was the exact moment I had to be here.
During your time here, and certainly when we look at 2022 to the 2025 season, you have had a chance to coach World Cup winners, some of the biggest stars that are household names anywhere, guys that have played in Champions League finals, guys who've scored goals in World Cups that have come through this door. How's that helped you with your leadership? What have you learned from those experiences?
It's a great question. You have a choice as an assistant coach. You don't speak much, you don't ask many questions, and you just go about your job. My best interaction with players of that level, when I think Chiellini, Ugo, Carlos, Garrett, Sonny now, like even Christian Tello, I asked a lot about former coaches. I asked a lot about what they did in training. I remember even in a period, I had a lot of conversation on defending set plays with Chiellini. I thought he liked something, but he liked something opposite, you know, so I was kind of surprised in some of the conversations we had where he helped a lot. I'll give you like a small example. And I thought Chiellini, because of his positioning, because of his height, he would prefer being zone. The first training that I put in zone, he comes talk to me. He goes, no, Mancini did the same thing to me. He put me zone. I want a Marc. And he go, I said, you want a man, Marc? Yes, give me their most important player. And then it taught me about confidence, taught me about details. The same with Ugo. We had so many conversation, or Garrett in his time with Ancelotti, Mourinho, and you have to take advantage as a coach or an assistant coach back then to get the feedback of these guys.
And that's very valuable. That's something that you have in your toolkit.
Rich. It's so rich here. You had the chance. And the other thing is that all these guys I named, we had the luck, or we did well our homework, call it whatever you want. You know that. Amazing guys. Amazing people. Humble, very simple. So we had also that, not only being elite, but also amazing people. So that makes it easier.
During the press conference, you mentioned the heartbeat and the supporters. You were very clear about how impactful they are, calling in the 12th man and then some. How important is that when you look at what this supporting culture does to lift this team?
When I listened to some interviews, I heard every team in MLS, every coach or player saying, we have the best fans in the league. So it means that everybody in the league has the best fans. But they know the truth. Many of them that are on the field, and before the warm-up, they're already telling me, man, you're fans, you know? So that's why I didn't want to sound like a cliche, just saying that, you know, we have the best fans. The truth is that our fans play with us. And when I mean play, is that they give us a beat that we feel a big difference between playing here and on the road. And now we have to have the maturity to bring that beat on the road also, keep that beat going. And it's the intensity they bring. You've been here, you've seen so many special days. Like one I remember when I was pouring rain. It doesn't rain enough in LA, but
was that the Houston Dynamo game?
Wow, pouring rain. We were in the locker room for 2 hours. They kept singing in the rain. Nobody was there, only that part singing. And that doesn't happen nowhere. Come on, let's be honest. And we have to answer back. We have to have the responsibility as a staff and players to say, let's go on the field also for them, because that's why you're in this game. Why do I coach? Why do players play? They do it for the fans, and we have to answer to them.
And bring their heartbeat with them.
Yes.
And with you.
If we do that every game, if we play at their rhythm, it's going to be very hard to beat us.
You speak 4 different languages. We heard you speak a few, and I'm sure you're trying to learn some more. But the idea of communication in a very cosmopolitan team that is LAFC, players from all over the world, how important is that for you to do the best possible job?
When I talk with young coaches that ask me, what do I have to do to become a coach? And if I speak in conferences, I always say, first thing, learn another language, because that other language opens you doors. I never planned speaking 4 languages. A lot was kind of by luck. I went to school in French, then moved to Portugal. School was in Portuguese. And then I learned English with Hollywood. I only watched movie in English with the subtitles in Portuguese. And then I started learning English there. And Spanish I learned with my sister-in-law. I lived with my brother and sister-in-law. She's from Peru. And all the education home was in Spanish. So for many months I learned Spanish with her. And that's very important when you have a locker room that speaks every language. And sometimes players, they say, I know I didn't understand well. And I make sure they understand well, because of the language.
No excuses when you can speak
No.
all the languages.
Yeah.
Son Heung-Min and Denny Bouanga are the two major foundation stones as you look towards 2026, of which you have a roster somewhat in place. When you look at that continuity, for lack of a better expression, hit the ground running to start the season as well.
I'm so blessed to take this position with not only them, but when I think Marky, Timmy, Alo, Ryan Alling, Hugo, like I could name so many, Sergi, starting already with a group that what I take from this group is I don't want to only highlight Sonny or Denis. Everybody knows the contribution they bring, but my focus has to be if collectively we're in the same page, everybody's gonna rise and everybody's gonna become important. And what's in my head is the locker room after Vancouver game in the playoffs. I saw the faces was a little bit like a to be continued story. And I know they left a lot there that they regret also. So I know the group, I know the potential of the group, but I also feel their levels of motivation and ambition is very high.
And we know LAFC will be active when building a roster, but with that core group, you feel like you have this team that can reach those goals.
With this core group and the additions that we're trying to get, yes, we have to try to compete to win every trophy.
What are some of the things you take away for your first head coaching job in MLS with the Vancouver Whitecaps?
When I arrived in 2019, we had to change 17 players in the roster. So I'd never do that again, In MLS, when you arrive in a team where it's not an expansion team and you have to change 17 players, you already start with a difficult base. And I felt then when we started in the second year to kind of slowly getting things organized, Axel had just arrived in the club, COVID hit. And then what I learned with COVID is how to keep a group still pushing in one direction and trying to keep a group together in such difficult moment, right? During COVID, we lived in Orlando, we lived in Salt Lake City, we lived in Portland. I learned a lot about myself also of keep going even if it's difficult. So there's a lot of things that when I look back, maybe I would have done different, of course.
And prepare you for this opportunity.
Yes.
The LAFC fan base, the supporters, what message would you give to them as we begin the Marc Dos Santos era?
I'll be consistent with what I've been saying. We'll try to follow your beat.
Classic.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Marc.
Thank you very much.